unless you forgive your brother from your heart. The gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. So do you know why Peter said, do I have to forgive 7 times? Do you know why he said 7? Why didn't Peter just say, hey, do I have to forgive 10 times or 20 times or 2 times? Why did he say 7 times?
Because the number 7 is a divine number.
7 is a divine number. 7 is a number in the Scriptures for perfection. And why is the number 7 the number for perfection in the Bible? Huh? Because God created the world in 7 days. So you see, it all travels down from there. God created in 7 days, so suddenly we know that the number 7 is like the divinely perfect number. And you go to the virtues in Isaiah, and you have 7 virtues, and you go to the book of Revelations, you have 7 cities, and whenever there's 7, that's kind of like the number that's perfect. And Peter said, hey, do I have to forgive perfectly? That's what he was saying. And Jesus said, more than you are humanly capable of, 77 times. Limitless. So today we're invited to consider, is there somebody in our lives that maybe we have to forgive? Our first reading said, sometimes we hold on to bitterness. It says we hug it. We hug our anger. We embrace it. We kind of stoke in it. We want to get somebody back. Have you ever felt that, where you're very angry at someone and you wanted to get them back? Well, if we harbor that and feed that, feed the demon, it's kind of like drinking poison and hoping the other will die. That's what it's kind of like. And so Jesus said, no, I want to set you free. I want to set you free, and I want to help you, give you the grace to do that. 77 is infinitely. I share a story of a saint that I was reading about, Saint Josephine Bakhita. And of anybody who had somebody to be angry, kind of rage about, so much offense, it would be her. She was born in 1869 in Sudan, and her whole family was taken captive, kidnapped into slavery. She was in such trauma she forgot her name. And so the slave masters named her Bakhita, which means fortunate. They consider themselves fortunate to have the slave. But she was sold from one slave to another and beaten and abused. Cut. One time she was cut 100 times and then put salt in the wounds so that she would feel it and it would last and she would have scars. Well, eventually she was sold to a family from Italy. And the Italian family gave her to another family. It was like her 7th, and it was the Micheli family. And finally, there was someone who loved her. They actually treated her with love. The first ones. Now, they had a daughter, and when they started a new business, a hotel business elsewhere, they put their daughter and Bakhita with sisters, a group of sisters called the Canossian Sisters. And they said, you stay with the sisters till we come back. Well, those sisters shared the gospel with Bakhita, taught her how to pray, taught her about the love of Jesus, taught her about forgiveness, and finally she was baptized at age 21. She was baptized at age 21. And when the family came back to claim her, she said, I want to stay with the sisters and be a sister. And so there was a little battle that ensued, and it actually went to the courts of Italy. And finally, the Italian court system ruled, because of this saint, slavery is outlawed. And adults get to choose what they want to do. Well, after her baptism, she forgave all those that offended her. All of those that enslaved her and beat her. She forgave them all. And the Blessed Virgin Mary helped heal her of her post-traumatic stress. And one thing she did that was really striking to me, that's so beautiful, I shared it this morning with my seminarians. She was so grateful for the gift of her faith in experiencing Jesus' love and mercy and the healing. She was so grateful for it that for the rest of her life, whenever she passed the baptismal font, she kissed it. Isn't that something? A woman who was a slave and beaten for so many years became so grateful to divine providence that she was allowed into the kingdom to come to know Jesus personally and be filled with His Spirit and a new life, that she kissed the baptismal font whenever she passed it. Now that's really inspiring to me. So today, in our gospel, we're invited to forgive and to find God. When somebody hurts us, when somebody offends us, they actually owe us something. They owe us a kind of debt. You hurt me and you owe me. And when we forgive, we actually release them from the debt. And God says, I release you from your debt.